All right, welcome back, everybody, to episode 12 of Planet Hero. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk, right there.
And I'm your other host, TJ Cornwell.
And welcome back to the Planet Film Network, episode 12 of Planet Hero. TJ, are you ready?
I am very ready.
Boom. And like we promised you guys last week with the Snyder Cut coming out, we did kind of a little special side episode for Falcon Winter Soldier because we just wanted to dedicate a bunch of time to the Snyder Cut. But we are back covering Falcon Winter Soldier on Planet Hero. Obviously, as you can see, this is a premiere episode, not a live show. So you can, sound off in the live chat. You just, we'll just check it as much as we can. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. Is there anything else we wanted to mention off the bat?
I don't think so. I'm ready.
Okay. Oh, also, if for fans who have watched the show Invincible, we did not forget about you. We're going to be doing a big kind of breakdown and review of the first 3 episodes of Invincible on this Tuesday's Planet Film. And then we'll kind of see where we go from there. We might do a little mini review of Invincible, probably on Planet Film every week, maybe. Or we might do a little mini Invincible review on Planet Hero. We'll just see where we go, see where the interest is for everybody. And then, we'll go from there. But without further ado, let's go ahead and break down the second episode of Falcon Winter Soldier, the Star-Spangled Man.
Yeah. So, like you said, Star-Spangled Man. Run time, it says 47 minutes. I think it's at 49, but it's probably including credits.
Mm-hmm.
So John Walker is named Captain America, and Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes team up against the rebel group, the Flag Smashers. Directed by Carrie Skolden. Written by Michael Castelline and Malcolm Spellman. Starring Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Wyatt Russell, Clay Bennett, Danny Ramirez, Carl Emley, and Daniel Rule, and also Aaron Kellyman. So let's start off with you. What did you think of this second episode?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was very, very good. Yeah. I thought the character interactions were great. I think obviously the person the episode's named after, John Walker, we probably have the most to say about him this week, because he kind of, apart from obviously Sam and Bucky, who will always remain the main characters, he definitely got the most play in addition to those two this week.
Right.
So I am very excited to see where it goes, and I'm glad that they are setting up this character with nuance. I'm so glad that it's not just going to be, he's Captain America, but he's an asshole. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not like, Justin Hammer is Iron Man. It's like, no, This is a nuanced character that is taking up the reins from Captain America. Clearly, his initial intentions are to be the absolute best Captain America he can be, just like he says in this episode. But then we kind of get a little bit of seeds and a little inkling of where this could go in the future. Which I think is very, very exciting for this character. And then obviously also just the Sam and Bucky stuff, the team up, the dialogue, the banter is so freaking on point. It's just so great throughout this whole episode. So yeah, really, really big, solid entry into this show for me with this episode. I would say, as much as you guys know we liked the first week, I would say this week was even better. Even better.
Yeah, I would agree mostly with what you said. There was a few jokes I think that I just didn't find that funny.
Like what?
I think like when they're staking out like the warehouse, like that old banter.
Don't even say it.
I don't know. I don't remember which one it was specifically, which joke, but there's just some things that I just didn't find like that funny.
Like, did you like the White Panther thing?
I thought that was funny. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that trending on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know like what they were like, what it was referencing. I thought that was funny. He's like, spend a little time in Wakanda. You come out the White Panther. I thought that was funny.
And then Bucky goes, "It's the White Wolf, actually." And Sam goes,
"Yeah."
Huh? He's like, "What?"
Like we get a few name drops here and there, which I thought was cool, playing the seeds for future villains.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Also, I'll say one of the name drops referred to as Dr. Banner, not Hulk or anything like that. Referred to as Dr. Banner.
I think Wyatt Russell and him playing that character. He's very good at it. But I was telling you, like, every time I see him, I just want to kind of like smack him. Like I just can't stand like looking
He's
at
got
him dressed
punchable
up in
face
that.
syndrome.
Yeah, he's very punchable face. Um, and I liked the development of the Flag Smashers. It's kind of taking them because you kind of thought maybe they'd be the bad guys, which they kind of are, but like you kind of sympathize also in a way with them because they're basically trying to steal from the rich and give to the poor.
Yeah.
I guess is the gist. And then we get spoiler, we get Zemo at the end for like 2 quick shots for like 5 seconds. So I'm interested to see where that storyline goes. And I just like the relationship, the development of the relationship with Bucky and Sam. Especially during that therapy scene where it's both of them that you get in the trailer. When, we'll get to it, but when like Sam like says his whole thing and then Bucky says his other thing, it's like, oof.
Some great
like,
acting this week.
Yeah,
too.
great acting. I think both of them very underrated, like especially
yeah.
MCU, but just in general. I actually saw I saw that this is completely off topic, but Sebastian Stan, like he said something like, "Oh, if like Mark Hamill like called me to play Luke Skywalker, like then I would do it or something like that." But I saw like there was like a side by side of like young Mark Hamill, and then I was like, "Oh, now I see it finally." When somebody puts it side by side. But yeah, I just thought that was funny.
Yeah,
But
'cause
yeah,
that's been talked about
I
for
enjoyed
years.
the episode. It's probably like on par, I think, with the first one for me.
Okay.
Not like any better or any less. There was, I don't know if I had like any like ridiculous problems with it. There was one point where like when he climbs onto the truck, and when Sebastian Stan when Bucky like runs up to the second truck, and it's in front of the other one, and literally I was like, don't you think
What?
the driver would be like? But Danielle was like, she thinks that was like a decoy or something.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think
So I was like, oh okay, that could that kind of explains it away. And then when he falls on the car, I was like, there's just like a random car behind them. But again, it was just kind of like, now you're nitpicking at that point. But yeah, I really enjoyed the episode. I'm excited to see what happens to the next.
Boom. All right. So that was our review of the second. No, just kidding. There is a lot more to break down in this episode. So let's go ahead and start off here. So the episode opens with you see somebody who you're not sure who it is at first, but then it's revealed that it is John Walker in a military uniform. And he is kind of walking through. You're not sure quite where it is, but then it's kind of obvious then that it's a football locker room. And he peels off a little label, and you realize that this is his old locker room from when he was a football star at this high school. Yeah, so pretty awesome opening. You get introduced to him, and then this woman who, we assume is either a significant other or maybe somebody who once was a significant other.
Yeah,
or something
I don't remember
like
if they're like, because they said love you, so I assume that they were like together at this point.
Yeah. So it's interesting stuff here. It kind of shows like what I was talking about with like kind of that they're taking a nuanced approach with his character. It shows that he's not just like an asshole. Like he is a genuinely good guy who wants to, do the best that he can. He's saying, everybody in the world expects me to be something, and I'm just trying to be the best that I can possibly be. Like I don't know how I can live up to that.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on kind of this initial scene in the locker room with talking to the girl and then getting the introduction,
yeah.
Jesus. Well, maybe it is an introduction because he's a douche, but the introduction of Hoskins and kind of the start of that dynamic with the two of them before he runs out onto the field.
Yeah, it kind of made me not hate him as much in that moment, I guess. I still don't like him. Again, I don't really have any background knowledge on that character in general. I've heard things that like what he does in the comics, like he's not the best person in the world.
You're talking about Walker?
Yeah. But it did make me like realize that like he is trying to kind of, he is trying to live up to something that he will never, ever, ever be able to live up to, just because of the history behind that shield and what he's taking on in general. It was nice to see, like, he has, like, I'm interested to see, like, where his, like, friend comes into play. Like, we were talking beforehand, you're kind of like, he's just kind of like, that's the joke. Like, he's just kind of like a knockoff Sam.
Yeah.
I guess,
He's basically like a knockoff Sam and Bucky combo. Like, just Captain America needs a sidekick, so there you go, Battlestar.
There you go.
But also from the comics, though. He wasn't invented for the show or anything, but basically that was the gist of his character in the comics as well.
But yeah, I like the scene. And then obviously I don't know. It was interesting to see a little backstory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And then, they have a little more of a heart-to-heart with him and Hoskins, and then basically, he has time to go to work, and then John turns to actually put the suit on, and then you get, bang, the Marvel logo, starting with kind of a rejazzed version of, the name of the episode, the song, The Star-Spangled Man with a Plan from the first Captain America movie. You get kind of a rejazzized kind of instrumental version of that, which is very, very cool. Oh, wow. I just noticed. In the Marvel logo, in the Marvel intro, the characters that are dead are grayed out.
Oh, yeah?
Like, Tony is grayed out. Natasha is grayed out. Ant-Man's not, but Steve is. Well, maybe not dead, but not in the universe anymore, I should say.
Right.
And then bang, we get a smash cut kind of to the marching band going. You can tell it's either late at night or early in the morning. We find out it is.
Yeah, I was very confused by that. Yeah. I was like, okay, they're either, because Danielle, I was like, this is like a news thing, but it's Good Morning America, but it's at night. I
think it's supposed to be like. No, I think it's supposed to be like 5 in the morning or like 6 in the morning.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Because it's supposed to be like, I don't know, maybe it's West Coast, East Coast time, something like that. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, hang on here. All right, and then we get him running up to the stage. And then you kind of realize that, it's the interview, and something that he was practicing in the locker room was saying, "Good morning, America," I'm
Captain America.
Yeah, and then you realize that he was saying "Good morning, America" because it's "Good Morning, America."
Good Morning, America.
Yeah, which I thought that was funny. I thought that it was like he wasn't just saying it; it was like literally for the show. Which again, just more Disney ABC love synergy. Yeah, so then we get some great, dialogue with him and the news reporter, where she's asking him, do eagles magically fly over your head now? And he's basically like, yeah, actually, yeah, and flags tend to billow in the breeze as well, like all of a sudden. And then he's kind of downplaying himself. He's like, a guy like me, and then she goes over some of his accolades, showing that, he's kind of, what Captain America is in the comics, where it's just like, in the comics, in most versions of Captain America in the comics, like, Steve is not a super soldier. Like, he's just the peak that a human being is capable of being. And then that's where, like, one instance of the MCU kind of differs, is that, obviously in the MCU, he is an actual superhero, like, superpowered being. So John Walker in this is clearly going much more that route of he is legitimately just the peak of physical, peak that a human could get to. So what were your thoughts on some of like this stuff? Just some of the opening scene with the press conference in general.
Yeah, I liked him like running onto the field and giving the announcement to the world. And, I'm like, I have arrived almost. Like the press conference, obviously we saw that from the end of the first episode. But this is kind of like his coming out party almost, on this like national news show. Yeah, I don't know if is this the scene where they show like him like throwing the shield and everything, or is that a different scene?
Yeah, they show like a video over the Good Morning America interview of him throwing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
him
So I
practicing.
thought that was like cool, like showing like that, like obviously him listing off his resume is also like trying to sell everybody on why this guy, like I'm sure they're like not everybody in the world is like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be the new Captain America, because I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way that like Sam and Bucky do, where it's like this guy, you know, can never live up to what Steve was or who he was as a person and what made him so great as Captain America.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's almost like them like trying to sell maybe people in that universe on this guy as the new face of, you know, the Shield that is carrying the Shield. Um, Again, I still like, even with his helmet on. Actually, no, he's less punchable with his helmet off. I take that back.
Yeah.
With his helmet on, he's still very very punchable.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like seeing that. I liked getting kind of his background and maybe like why he almost feels like he can do this. But at the same time, you still know that there's like doubt in his mind. It's like I'm never going to be able to live up to what Steve is, or that maybe he's like, I think he says late in the episode where he's like, I'm not trying to like be him. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to like be the best person I can be.
Hmm.
And it still gets like, they're still like hinting at, and they hint at it later, like about like the idea that like he's not like a super soldier, like he's just like a regular person, but he's just like peak human.
Yeah.
Where like he might kind of try to go that route, but not
Hmm.
get it, like, you know, not become that way, like the way Steve did, where it's like experiment by the government. Like he might kind of go like this alternate route that might
Yeah.
not work out for him.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. He says right here, this is kind of the name drop that we were alluding to earlier. One of the many name drops is, you know, he says, look, here's the thing. I'm not Tony Stark. I'm not Dr. Banner.
Yeah.
I don't have the best gadgets. I don't have super strength. You
Right.
know, and then he's like, but what I do have is guts. And then he goes on this whole thing about like how she asks, you know, did you ever actually meet Steve? And that's when we kind of cut to Bucky, you know, back on the ground at his apartment. Um, and basically, if you didn't want to already punch this guy, Bucky's like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" Like he's like, because he basically says, you know, well, I never met Steve, but you know, I always, you know, I'd like to think of us as brothers in a kind of way. And it's like, get the look on Sebastian Stan's face as Bucky is like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, who do you think you are? And you just see basically the scene just ends with you just see Bucky fuming, just kind of making a fist, you
On
know,
his,
just
like, apartment
staring
floor,
at the TV. Yeah, exactly. And then we hop over, we get then Sam and the character who I forget his freaking name.
Oh, like
From the
his like
first
army
episode.
friend.
Yeah, from the first episode. And then you basically just get, you know, you wondered how are they actually going to meet each other. Basically, Bucky
Right.
just tracks Sam down and is like, you know, you shouldn't have given up the shield, Sam. Like he's
Right.
just like immediately
Yeah.
on it. And then Sam's just, you know, good to see you too, Buck. Like, so what did you think about this whole scene with them in the aircraft hangar? Obviously, that was one of the big funny things from the trailer was, you know, the big three, you know, the androids, aliens, and wizards thing. What were your thoughts on basically this whole scene of them reuniting?
That was one of the things that like didn't hit for me. Like I didn't find it that funny. Like the whole like, oh, like a wizard's actually like a sorcerer is still a wizard just without a hat. Like, I just didn't, you know, it just didn't really.
What
hit
about
for
the
me,
the
unfortunately.
Gandalf stuff? The fact that Bucky read The Hobbit.
That was funny. I was like, oh yeah, you know, I get that. But yeah, I liked. This is the first time we've seen them in the show together again. And you start to get like kind of why. Actually, you know, you still really don't understand like why they're not speaking to each other. I feel like, is that just me?
Well, I think Sam is trying to reach out. I think Sam has been trying to, but Bucky
Right,
just wants to
because-
stay on
yeah.
his own.
Right. So I would have to imagine that Sam's still kind of like annoyed with that he's like,
Yeah,
I've
I
been
think
trying
Sam's
yeah.
exactly, yeah.
I've been trying to talk to you and you've just been fucking ignoring me. So like,
And now
screw
you're rocking up, telling me how to
Yeah.
live my life when you haven't even been in
Right, right.
contact with me.
Right. And then we kind of get on. Obviously, we find out kind of like Buggy's whole thing with Sam and everything like that. But yeah, I like the scene. I liked how I like how at the end of it, Sam's like, "I'm getting on this plane, going to Munich," and Bucky's like, I'm going with you, and Sam's like, no, you're not, and then it cuts to them on the plane together.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. But yeah, this is kind of like the start of their whole adventure together, and yeah, I thought that was a good way to kind of lead off the episode.
Let me ask you, what are your thoughts? Because in both the Marvel universe and the Star Wars universe, we've seen some things that go that route and some things that don't. What are your thoughts that we are getting, little location tags in this show? You know what I mean? We see them a lot in this episode.
Yeah, I thought that was that's something I did pick up when I think it's the second location. It's not Munich.
Yeah,
I forget where else they go.
Slovakia.
Yeah, it might have been that one where I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I don't know if they I'm not really sure if there's like a reason for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting because I feel like in a lot of I don't even know how many movies they've done that in. I feel like they did it like when they're showing what's it called?
They definitely did it in Infinity War. They did it in Infinity War and Civil War. But I don't know what else.
That's what I was thinking, Civil War, yeah. I don't know if there's like a reason behind it.
I feel like the Russo brothers like doing it.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I don't know if there's like a specific reason for them to do that. But I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Because they usually put in like the bottom left corner, don't they? Don't they? Not
yeah,
like
now here it's kind of bouncing all over the place because there's ones in the center and ones everywhere else. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it helps with kind of a globe-trotting adventure like this show seems to be, to kind of just help keep a little more track of where things are going and where people are traveling to.
Right.
Yeah, and then I love this little talk where Sam, again, he calls him Buck, and I almost said Steve, and Bucky goes, you can't call me that, and he's like, why not? That's what Steve called you, and he was like, Steve knew me longer, and Steve had a plan. Yeah. And he's like, what's your plan? And then he just doesn't talk to him and just jumps out of the plane. And then what were your thoughts on this next one, where I think it's one of the funniest Bucky scenes we've ever gotten, where he basically is like, I don't need a parachute, like, because just like
I was
Steve
like, are you sure?
Yeah. Well, I thought, are you sure as well? But then I remembered, like, in 1947 or whatever it was, he jumped out of he fell off of a train, like, thousands of feet up.
That's very true. And this was only like 200 feet or something like that?
It was only 200 feet.
Not high.
But I love the little glimpses at Bucky's powers, because I feel like, yes, we know he is a super soldier. Like, the word super soldier gets thrown around a lot in this universe and in this show.
I feel like he's just like usually wielding like a gun or something. Like it's
exactly,
like
but in this one, like you see, because like we said, like in this one, Falcon doesn't have his guns. Basically, his armament comes in the form of Red Wing on his back. And Bucky doesn't have a gun because rule number 2 is don't hurt anybody. But I like that you get the look at his power when he just cleanly rips off the one sleeve of his jacket. Like, it's just like, oh shit, yeah, this guy. I forget how fucking strong he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we just get him jumping out of the plane and the hilarious scene of just him plummeting through the trees. What were your thoughts on all that?
I thought that was funny when you see Red Wing is like filming the whole thing. And Sam's like, I have that all on tape. Like, I thought that was funny. It's showing, like, even though they kind of like are not friends really in this moment, they're still like cracking jokes, which I think is funny. And you see that they still kind of like each other in some way.
Oh my god! Sorry, I just had it up on my screen where he just plummets down. It's so funny. All right, then we get into the warehouse scene where you said, some of the banter didn't land for you. I found that a lot of it for me did. So what did you think about this whole scene, about their kind of recon scene? I love this part. To me was the best, when Bucky, he like sneaks up and he says, "All right, I'm inside, therefore way ahead of you." And then Falcon just he just pops up next to him, and he's like, Bucky's like, "What?" Huh? He's like, "How did you get here?" And then he goes, Bucky goes, "Hello, how are you?" And Sam goes, "Good. What did I miss?" "Nothing."
Yeah.
I just love their banter of like a buddy cop movie, basically, with the two of them.
Exactly. Like the White Panther thing I thought was funny. I forget what the other thing is for. They're saying something. They say something else that I just like. I didn't find that funny. I don't remember what it was. It's after the White Panther thing they're saying, but yeah, like when they're kind of like, when I think Bucky. Maybe this was the banter when Bucky's like, "Oh, I see 3-4 people or whatever," and Sam's like, "There's actually like." He's like scanning everything. He's like, actually, there's 8. Like, you know, and because I think Bucky's kind of like of the mindset is like, let's just like go in, you know, like we could take them. And Sam's like, no, we have to like, you know, we have to like be cautious because, you know, we've seen this video of one of these guys clearly is like a super soldier type strength. So and they're literally lifting these huge ass boxes.
Yeah,
like 2 people at a time, like something like nobody should be able to lift. Let alone with 2, like by yourself, 2 people, or 2 people, let alone 1 person.
Yeah, because like Sam, after the first episode, he thought maybe just the leader was super powered, but then he realized no, they're all super soldiers.
Yeah. So obviously, like they're kind of hesitant to take them all on at once, but yeah.
And so, were you a fan of Bucky's fast run up to the truck?
Oh my god! I was like, this dude is hauling ass. I was like, I knew Cap could like run because like in is it Endgame or Infinity War when
Infinity
he's running,
War when him and T'Challa
he's like
yeah.
I was like, holy
that
crap!
Was one of my,
Bucky was like another level of fast.
That was one of my big complaints. I don't know if you remember. This was like when Infinity War came out. I was like, why are T'Challa and Steve at the front of the pack, but Bucky's not? He's got the same juice as them. I was like, what the hell? But then I remembered. I was like, but Bucky's carrying like a 50-pound machine gun as well.
That's very true. Yeah.
So he's not as, you know, free to book it like he does in this scene. Holy crap. Yeah, he outruns, you know, a semi truck going like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely insane. And then, you know, we get the kind of introduction of Aaron Kellerman's character of Carly, who they sorry, real quick, they think is like a hostage when they're in the warehouse when Sam like scans the truck and he sees her in it. Yeah, that's why people are thinking, you know, that it was kind of like a decoy situation because they probably knew that they were there or picked him up on their sensors or something. But all right, so let's get in kind of, I would say maybe this is probably the biggest action sequence of the episode. The highway action. Is there even another action sequence after this? I don't think there is.
Kind
of the escape at the end, like the Flag Smashers escape at the end with the one guy doing the diversion with like the lightning pole, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So what were your thoughts overall with the first half of this action sequence? Because then we'll talk about the second half when the rest of the characters show up.
They're kind of getting their ass beat the entire time almost. I think, I don't know if the comedic part in this episode or in this fight is at the beginning or the end of the scene when he's like, oh, you just got your ass beat by a girl, and he's hanging on to like I don't know if that was in this part or if it's in the second half.
It was in the second half, yeah.
I didn't really, okay, like that, and I find that funny because it's like I saw in the trailer. But yeah, they're kind of, you know, they're kind of meeting their match almost, or it's almost like, you know, they're a bit rusty almost, maybe.
I think it's a little of both.
Yeah, so they're kind of like, and obviously they're all like, it seems like all of them are juiced up at least. So yeah, I thought it was, I was really happy to see the fight. I think if I recall, like a little bit of it didn't look that good, almost maybe when they're on top of the truck fighting.
Okay,
I think it's more the background that it's like it's, you know,
because to me, I just watching it right now, I think it looks pretty good. Yeah. You mean the CG, like the background? Yeah,
I could be thinking of something like I'm missing, but or I'm just thinking of something else. But yeah. But yeah, I liked the beginning of the fight.
I thought, all right, so then let's move forward to the kind of the second half here, where all of a sudden you see the shield kind of whipping to the scene.
Right.
And then you see John Walker, you know, leap out of the helicopter, and you realize that both Battlestar and Captain America are on the scene. So, well, I even hesitate to call him Captain America, but
I was gonna say, I'm surprised you
yeah.
called him Captain America.
Yeah,
I'm not
but
calling him Captain America.
but so all right, let's say John and Battlestar hop onto the scene, because I don't want to call him U.S. agent yet, because I feel like that could get confusing because he's not yet.
I would just call him
what
John
I mean?
Walker.
Yeah, I'll just say John. So you see then John and Battlestar kind of leap into action here to kind of, in their minds, save the day. You know what I mean? Like we just talked about, Sam and Bucky are either met their match or a little rusty, one of the two.
Right.
And I feel like John and Battlestar are both like, all right, man, here we are. We're going to save these guys' asses, and then they're going to work with us, and then we're going to have a team up, and it's going to be great. And then they get their asses beat, too, because neither one of them are super soldiers.
No, not at all.
Yeah, the best person in this fight is Bucky, and even he is struggling because it's basically 8v1 right now. But then we get the great scene where, Bucky kind of takes on Aaron Kellerman's character, the main one, Carly, and then kind of gets slammed down the side of the truck, if you will, and gets stuck on the bottom. And then we have the scene, where it's just kind of the continued action sequence of the another great highway chase in the MCU. So with this, what were your thoughts on the rest of the action sequence once John and Battlestar got into it? And then what were your thoughts on how it ended with kind of Sam and Bucky just kind of shooting out of the danger zone?
I think I would have rather had me getting my ass beat than have John Walker come and try to save me. But yeah,
I think
again,
both happened for them.
Yeah, like you said, I think they're kind of meeting their match again. When John Walker, what's the other character's name? John Walker's friend. Battlestar.
Hoskins too.
Hoskins, yeah. When they both reach the truck, I think they think this is going to be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Than they expect, or than what actually happens. Yeah, I liked again the fighting scene. If you had to rank the fighting scenes, which one did you think? Do you think the one in the first episode was better, or this one? I like the one in the first episode more, probably because it's more aerial and everything like that. I just
the
maybe
opening
just because
in the canyon.
Yeah, I like Sam beating ass because I feel like he's never really done that.
I think I don't know. It's either even for me, or I guess I would lean towards the one in the first episode. But I really like this one too. I thought it was definitely up there as one of the better action sequences that we've seen in the MCU lately. A little more of a grounded action sequence, you know what I mean, than we got in anything like WandaVision, literally grounded. But yeah, I thought it was very good, but I think I'd give the slight edge to the kind of opening action sequence of the series.
It's probably more just because again, like I said, we have never really seen Sam kick ass, I feel like. And that's what he was doing in the first episode, so probably just is better. But yeah, I liked the fight sequence. And as soon as John Walker showed up, I was like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, and then we get after Sam and Bucky kind of are done, then we get Hoskins gets thrown from the truck, and John kind of shoots the shield under him to keep him from going splat on the concrete, because again, both of these guys are not super soldiers. And John kind of gives his best, I will say one thing about these two characters is I like that, like I said, the nuanced approach they're doing. I like that you can tell they're genuine buddies. Because, when he saves Hoskins by throwing the shield under him, Hoskins goes, John's they seem, like I said, at least at the start, they seem like they're genuinely trying to be good heroes, and they're just kind of happy to be there. But, we'll see where things go from there.
I don't even think Hoskins doesn't strike me as some asshole.
Yeah.
I feel like he is more I hate to say that he's just follows John Walker's lead. But that almost kind of is what he does because, John Walker is Captain America, so he's almost the leader in that pairing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he doesn't strike me as when I see him, I don't immediately not like him.
And then we
because
get
he's
John,
not trying to be something.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And then we get John Walker. He goes, he tries to do his little Captain America. He's like, that was a bad idea, and then he just
hmm
gets one punched
Yeah.
off of
The
the
truck.
truck. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, what are your thoughts on the fact we're kind of starting? I know you alluded to it a little bit earlier. We're kind of starting to see that John Walker, after the first action sequence that we have seen him in action
hmm
as Captain America, John Walker already is clearly not happy with his own performance. Like, he is clearly already not happy that
Right.
he can't just wipe these people out. So like we said, do you think this is going to lead to something like, and we'll talk about the villain that gets a name drop later on. Do you think this is going to lead to some sort of a thing where him and Battlestar, or maybe just him, goes a little bit rogue and maybe tries to get some powers of their own,
Yeah.
which maybe doesn't go so well? Do you think we might
I
see that in this?
I think I think John Walker, yes.
Hmm.
Battlestar, I don't think so because like I said, I just
Yeah.
don't think he's not trying to live up to something that he can't.
Yeah.
He's kind of like his own person, and he's
He's
his
just
own
happy to be
hero in a
there.
way. Right. Like he's not like I have this mantle that I have to somehow live up to,
Yeah, and hold
and
up
I
or
have the
whatever.
shield of and there are all these values that are riding on this one thing.
Hmm.
Like I just don't think that like he'll do that, but I could definitely see John Walker doing it, and I think
Yeah.
will. And I'm interested to see like if the character lasts past the show.
Hmm. Oh, I bet he does.
Yeah.
I bet he does. Um,
I mean, who
cause
knows what they have coming down the pike? Like we know, like they have
mhm,
like gazillion of shows and everything. I'm just
yeah.
interested to see like where he would fit in
Hmm.
into the next
Because
shows or movies.
I think it would be kind of a disservice to the John Walker character to not give him the full U.S. agent arc.
Okay.
To just
Yeah.
be
See, like
like,
this whole arc, like I know, like that he like kind of. Well, I'm not gonna like say anything because if you're watching this,
mhm,
you don't know what happens. Like maybe you don't want it spoiled or anything.
mhm.
But like, I'm interested to see like what that arc is because like that you're talking about, like I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So
Well, I just mean like his arc that I'm assuming he'll get in the MCU. Like, I would assume the last episode of this series, he
hmm
becomes U.S. agent.
U.S. agent.
Yeah, he
Okay.
kind of gets a little demoted, probably, or something
Right.
like that. Um, Gosh, would that mean that somebody else would have to be Captain
Man, it's only
America?
like 4 weeks too. It's not even like
Yeah, that's
WandaVision was
it.
8 episodes. This is only 6.
Hmm. So yeah, then we get some nice banter of them walking on the road.
Okay,
Uh,
this I thought was funny
okay,
when
yeah.
they're
So
like,
let's talk about this whole truck scene. What were your thoughts on
yeah.
that?
I thought it was funny, like Battlestar and John Walker are like driving like to the airport, and there's literally just Sam and Bucky are just walking down the road, and like they'll stop the truck, and then Bucky and Sam will walk past it, and they'll drive a little bit further ahead, then they'll stop again, and then like I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
But the whole truck scene I thought was again like getting to the crux of like why Sam and Bucky like just don't like John Walker
Hmm.
is like he's like saying like the whole thing like I'm not trying to
Not trying to be Steve.
I'm not trying to be Steve, like stuff like
Hmm.
that. But then again, like at the end when they finally like stop the truck and Bucky and Sam are like, you know what, we're just gonna walk the rest of the way. Is like
Yeah.
when John Walker is like oh, like we need, doesn't he say something like, oh, he needs his sidekicks or something like that, and it's like
Hmm.
and Bucky's like, it's always that last line. And then they
Yeah.
like get off and like walk on.
Hmm.
They just like, we're gonna fucking walk. Like we're not riding in the truck like with you. Right? Is that
Yeah.
is that the line that I'm thinking of? Or does it what does he say?
What?
Isn't it like
Sam says that. John Walker goes, it'd be a whole lot easier if I had Cap's wingmen
that's what
on
it
my
was.
side.
Yeah.
And then Sam goes, it's always that last line, because it's like, bro, I gave you this job. Like, the only reason you're this
Yeah.
guy is because I turned it down. Like, and
Yeah.
he's like, and so it's like, he's just like, it's always that last line, because he's like, it'd be easier if I had Cap's wingmen. And it's like, me and Bucky don't want to help you. Like, we don't recognize you. Like, they pulled a Nick Fury. Like, we recognize that the government has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid ass decision, we've elected to ignore it. You know, that kind of thing. And then, you know, they both get out of the truck, and then John's like, oh, fuck. Like, he basically, like, you know, swears under his breath, and he's like, get moving. Like, he's
let's go. Like,
yeah, let's go.
Screw these guys. Yeah.
Exactly. And then we get this nice little scene where the Flag Smashers are kind of, you know, they're kind of taking a little break. They get a little help from this guy who created this nice thing for them. We get a little bit of a deeper look into them.
Kind of like a hideout.
Yeah, we get a little bit of a deeper look into them and kind of where they fall in the universe. It's a lot of people are recognizing what they're doing, that, you know, they're the freedom fighters trying to fight back.
I thought this is where Zemo was going to show up. And then I was sadly mistaken.
Yeah. And then, you know, and then we see Carly gets a text that says, "You took what was mine. I'm going to find you and kill you."
Again, this is also, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, that's Zemo.
Yeah, same. I thought that too, but I'm kind of glad that it looks like we're getting maybe two different big villains.
I'm gonna guess that that's probably the name drop later in the episode.
Yes,
that texted her.
Same.
So,
I would absolutely agree. And then, you know, they kind of get like a nice rallying moment where they're, you know, they say the little chant of, you know, one world, one people, which is kind of their whole motif. And then we get a nice little scene with Sam and Bucky where it's like, you know, we need that shield, you know, we gotta we gotta get it back or whatever. And then Sam kind of reminds him, remember what happened last time we stole the shield? Like, we were on the run for years. Like, Sharon is like an enemy of the state, like whatever. So a little Sharon Carter name drop, who I'm sure is probably going to be popping up next week if I had to guess. And then Bucky basically tells him, you know, there's something I've been keeping from everybody. Like, we got to go see somebody. Now, do you have any familiarity with this character, or, well, really both of these characters that we meet in Baltimore?
So I've heard that the kid is a young Avenger. Is that true?
Yeah, another young Avenger. That like another one for the team.
And the older guy, I have no background knowledge other than what they say in the episode.
Okay. Yeah, so basically there's two characters, Isaiah Bradley and then Eli Bradley or Elijah Bradley. So as we see in the episode, Isaiah Bradley is the older gentleman. I just realized actually somebody installed a basketball hoop on a stop sign. Yeah,
I noticed that. I was like, okay.
But they basically, you know, it's one of those things that it's one of those times that Marvel Comics kind of took some nasty stuff that had happened in the real world and kind of worked it into storytelling. So
yeah, and you see this like later in this like same kind of scene as well.
Yeah, absolutely, for a lot more current terrible stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
But in terms of, you know, I don't know how much you're familiar with it. Like, I know I am not as familiar as I'd like to be, but I know, you know, in World War II, Korean War, you know, those kind of eras, there were a lot of terrible experiments done on Black people and different members of the African American communities and different Black communities, kind of all around the globe. Just some horrible experiments by, you know, Nazi scientists and other people, because they were viewed as the inferior, you know, whatever you want to say, for that time. And that's something that is worked into Isaiah Bradley's origin in the comics and here, obviously, is that basically they were once again trying to recreate Steve, trying to recreate, you know, the magic that they got with Steve. And Isaiah Bradley was one of the people that it ended up working on. So basically he became a super soldier. And then it was one of those things where once he kind of served his usefulness, they kind of wanted to sweep him under the rug. And that's why they put him in jail for, you know, who knows what, basically as an excuse just to keep him
I think he
And
said 30 years, right? Or
yeah,
something
for
like
30
that?
years. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
exactly what happens in the comics too. He was in
Oh.
prison for 30 years, aka they just wanted to keep him so that they could run as many tests and do everything that they wanted to do, and kind of keep his heroics kind of under wrap because he was
Hmm.
an African American, which is obviously just terrible. But I'm glad that this show is highlighting that and actually showing, the kind of terrible stuff that was going on
Right.
back then. And then the other character that he is not officially named even in the closed caption because sometimes closed captioning reveals character names and stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
yeah.
I checked that and he's just listed as boy.
Boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but one would assume that this is probably his grandson, Eli or Elijah, whatever he
That's what I
is going
assumed,
by,
yeah.
who becomes Patriot, who is one of the founding members of the Young Avengers, who basically is also a super soldier. He basically inherits these super soldier genes because it is passable through genes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's basically think of it like a what I want to call it, like a plutonium or so, I don't know, like a half life. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it gets weeded out
Yeah,
through
it deteriorates
generations.
after. Yeah.
Exactly. But something like a grandson or a son is definitely going to, be able to show it. Just like any
Okay.
powers, any X-Men, it's like
Right.
random, but you know what I mean? So we don't even get a hint to that, but we just would assume that that's probably where that character is going to end up. But then we get this great scene meeting with both Isaiah and who you'd assume would be Eli. What were your thoughts on this whole interaction with, the backstory with Isaiah and Bucky, with kind of Sam's reaction to Isaiah? Because obviously this is someone that he can very much relate to, that this was
Right.
basically the first Black Captain America. That's basically what he's referred to, in other places.
Right.
And in the comics, in fact, one of the reasons, the catalyst that they were able to say you're going to prison was he basically stole one of Steve's suits and suited up as Captain America to go in behind enemy lines and save some people. And they basically arrested him for taking the suit and then
Right.
just kept him in prison so they could run experiments and stuff. So
Um.
what were your thoughts on all this and Sam's reaction to everything?
Yeah. Wow. That I was like, oh shit. Again, I had no idea that this was even a thing.
Hmm.
And apparently, nobody knew except like Bucky and the government and everybody.
Yeah.
Steve had no idea.
Hmm.
You find out in like a few minutes as well. Which I'm surprised they never. I don't think they did. Did they ever hint at this like in like the first Avenger or anything? I mean, I can't imagine. Even though Kevin Feige has like these ridiculous plans, like I don't know if he thought this far ahead,
Yeah.
like when they were doing the first Avenger. But
Well, that's the interesting thing too, is that even with the information we get in this episode, we don't
yeah,
know if Isaiah was turned into a super soldier before Steve or after Steve.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so it could have been either one.
Like I
But yeah.
yeah. But no, like you said, like this episode or this scene was like I'm glad that like Disney in general is just kind of like I
Leaning
want
into
them to
this.
go more into it,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that they're kind of like approaching this topic of racism in America and just
Hmm.
everything like even like you said like with the whole experimentation and stuff like that. Um, and it's tough to see like this guy who like he was experimented on. They used him for what they wanted to for, and then they kind of just threw him away.
Hmm.
And it's really kind of heartbreaking to see. And I hope we kind of see more of that character in
Yeah.
this
I'd
show.
love a
and then-
flashback. I'd love a flashback
That's
to
what I was
this
thinking.
fight in Go Yang with him and Bucky.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm like thinking. Like,
Mhm.
and clearly he has a disdain for him too.
Yeah.
Like Bucky, like kind of like it like feels for him.
Hmm.
Because I think he calls him like a killer or something.
Yeah,
He's
because
like, "Oh, I
Bucky
don't do that
says, he
anymore."
goes, yeah, I'm not a killer anymore, and he goes,
Yeah,
you don't just get to wake up and decide what you want to be. But then
Right.
he goes, maybe somebody like you.
that's what
Maybe,
it was.
yeah.
That's what I was like. Damn, I was like, there we go. Like
Yeah.
now you're really kind of starting to go like like I wish I could just I think they said that. I think they say something like that in the first episode too. I can't remember specifically.
Yeah.
But that is really like a, like that is to them telling you like we're really gonna lean into this issue, and I'm just happy they're doing it,
Mm-hmm.
because if they didn't, that'd just be a total like, I just don't think this would like work at all, and I
Mm-hmm.
just think it'd be a very big disservice to everything. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
And so then
yeah,
after this we get we get the great blow up from Isaiah where he's like, get out of my house. Like I'm not
yeah,
doing any of this, which I'm sure we will obviously come back to him as a character, I'm sure.
yeah.
But then we get this great scene talking about, the scene with Isaiah is kind of talking about our past mistakes as a country and as a military with the African American and Black community. This is more highlighting what's currently going on, which is, and also, by the way, I didn't even notice there's a whole bunch of signs behind them that say "Stop the Violence," "Black Lives Matter,"
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and then
Must have missed those.
something about police brutality, and then love is love, that kind of stuff. There's like all these signs behind them on the fences, but the big one is the one that says "Stop the Violence." So then we basically get, the two of them are just arguing. They're just having an argument in the street. And then the cops, whoop whoop, they pull up, and
as soon as I saw that cop car like peek around the corner, I was like, "Oh my fucking god!"
yeah, I was
it.
like, yeah, I was like, are they going for this? Like, are they really gonna do this right now? And yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately it's kind of mimicking tons of videos that we've seen in real life of
yeah,
innocent Black people getting either pulled over or just stopped on the street, and basically show me your ID. Like, well, Sam's like, I don't have ID. I'm like,
I don't
like,
have, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, are you kidding me right now? Like,
yeah. And it's literally just him and Bucky like arguing, and he's
yeah,
like,
that's
"Is everything
it,
okay
yeah.
here?" To Bucky, and Bucky's like, "Do you know who the fuck this guy is?"
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. And then one thing I did catch on the closed caption, because the first time I watched this episode twice, and then now I'm just
I watch
rewatching it around
everything
here.
with subtitles now, so I probably saw what we're talking
I
about.
usually, yeah, I watch it once without subtitles the first time, and then I watch the second watch with subtitles to see if I missed anything. So the first time I assumed he was the other cop was like, hey, this is the Falcon. He says these guys are Avengers.
Avengers.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, good. Bucky got a little promotion there. But yeah, Bucky's like, he's like, man, seriously, are you kidding me? And then Bucky, he's just like trying to get the situation. He's just like, just give me your ID, like whatever, like just
yeah. And then he's like, yeah.
yeah, and
Sam's like, no, I didn't do anything. Like,
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
giving you my fucking ID. And then like you have another car pull up, which then they get into the whole like, oh, Mr. Barnes, like, you didn't report. There's a warrant out for your arrest. You didn't report to your mandated therapy thing.
Yeah, and he basically goes, that's basically the same as missing an appointment with your parole officer, basically.
Yeah, and that's kind of where Sam kind of finds out that he's like, oh, you've been in therapy this entire time. Like,
yeah,
I don't
like,
think Sam had any idea.
Yeah, like
that.
Sam didn't really know what all was going on with Bucky, basically. Because when he hears that, he kind of gives a little face of like, oh crap, I didn't know.
Right. But as far as like this, like I want them to lean way more into this issue. Like they like this. I like this, but I want to see like where they go from here. Like I feel like they're kind of dropping these little things where it's like we're gonna like push way into this issue, maybe like in a future episode or maybe in a future movie. I don't know, but I want them to like really go into it more.
Same. Yeah, I really want that. I mean, I want room for, crazy big stuff like Zemo's Purple Mask. And I like the name drop that we'll get to in just a few minutes. And like all that stuff. But I don't want them to lose this thread of, the Isaiah Bradley stuff and the kind of social issues as well. And I hope they don't, because we're now 2 for 2 on episodes dealing with them. We had that whole thing with the loan, and then now this with the cops and stuff. So I think I think we're gonna get some more stuff. But now we hop back over to the prison, basically, or the precinct, wherever you want to call it. Yeah, it's just like the precinct. It's not a prison or anything. And then basically we realize that Sam and Dr. Rayner, Bucky's therapist, they meet, and then you find out that John Walker is the one who bailed Bucky out because he kind of pulled strings to cancel Bucky's therapy, so that he could be basically he said he's too good an asset to be tied up with his schedule. So what were your kind of thoughts on this whole thing with, John Walker come in with the most punchable face, wanting...
It was like...
yeah, exactly,
At one point, yeah. This, again, they lead into, like, this whole therapy session that you saw in the trailer. But yeah, I think it's showing that John Walker's, like, trying to get them on his side. Like doing whatever he can, like, doing these favors and everything. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would have rather sat in there than have him get me out.
Yeah. And then we have this great scene, obviously, from the trailers and stuff of the couples counseling, basically, with Sam and Bucky, where we get some really funny stuff, but also some really emotional and, kind of character heavy reveals here. So what were your thoughts on all of this? And then I'll give my thoughts on it after you.
I thought these comedic beats in this scene, I thought they really worked for me. Like when they like get closer, and they like interlock their legs.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny.
And I love when Sam's like, "Oh, he's gonna love this. Yeah, I bet this is great for you, huh?" And Bucky's like, "Oh yeah, I love it.
But when Bucky or Sam's like, you ever think like maybe it was my decision to like give up the shield? Like maybe like I thought it was what was best. And when Bucky's like, well, if Cap was wrong about like giving it to you, then that means he was wrong about me, Yeah. And it's like, that's the part where it's like, oof, you got me on that one. It's kind of like that was almost like the WandaVision line of what is grief but love? What is it? What is
grief but love persevering? If not love persevering.
Yeah, it's like one of those where it's like, yeah, you hit me in the heart right there.
Yeah.
And I think that almost like kind of like, I don't know if it makes Sam like, I don't remember what Sam says after that, but it kind of makes him realize.
That's when he goes into this is maybe something you or Steve will never understand, but don't you think it was
the other thing?
My decision, that I thought it was best to give it up type of thing. And then he goes, and then Sam goes, I got a great idea. We'll squash this right now, finish this job, and then we'll never have to see each other ever again. And they're both like, great by me, fine, great. Like,
yeah. Which is like something I don't want. Like, I don't want them to like. I assume that they'll actually like be friends after this.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, this is
But like, yeah, it just kind of like hurt to see them like not together. You know? What I mean? Even though like this show is Falcon and Winter Soldier, like they're together most of the time. They're not like together like emotionally. Like they're just doing it to like get the job done, and that's it. And that's not something I like. Like I want to see. Like I hope they like you said. Like I'm sure that they'll be friends after this, but it's just tough getting there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Bucky seems so much more open to the whole therapy thing than Sam is. Sam's like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah. I thought it's funny though that Sam seems a lot less open to do therapy, but when she asks, "Have either of you guys heard of the miracle question?" Bucky's like, "No," and Sam's like, "Of course." Like it's like what? But then he doesn't want to do it. Is the difference. So I thought it was great. Same thing. I thought a lot of the comedy was gold in that scene, and then I thought a lot of the emotion really hit really well. With
this is where they're both like acting like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought the drama and the emotion of it all hit really well with the whole, because if Steve was wrong about you, then that means he was wrong about me. Like, and it's like, and the ultimate person, if anybody wants to feel self-pity, Bucky is, top of the list. Like that guy.
Oh,
like, one of the only reasons that he feels like he can even try to start making amends is because of how much Steve believed in him. So it's like
Right.
if he's starting to doubt that, then that's like doubting
Yeah.
the core belief that he should even be
Yeah.
alive.
It's like, yeah, it's like, do you know how many people told him like, that I have to die and everything, and he like refused, like, like he like didn't tell,
all of Civil
he didn't tell
War.
Tony about
Yeah,
this whole thing, and we beat Tony up together just so he could save me.
yeah, exactly. Like, oh my god, we beat up an Iron Man
Yeah.
over this crap. Like,
Yeah.
and then so basically, then we go back to outside after the therapy's done, and asshole Walker, yeah, or sorry, John Walker is sitting there waiting to talk to them, basically saying like
Hmm.
we need to work together. Giving them kind of a lowdown on some of the info that they have on the Flag Smashers. Um, and basically he's like, we need to work together on this. And Sam basically just says, listen, it boils down to you guys are government sanctioned, you guys have rules of engagement. And he goes, me and Bucky are free agents, it just wouldn't make sense for
Right.
us to work together. And then we get the line that kind of shows, that John Walker is already starting to show signs that he might not be as great a guy as he seems, because he looks
Yeah.
very, very angry. And he says, then if you're not going to work with me, then word of advice, then stay out of my way.
Yeah.
Or he says, stay the hell out of my way. Wow, language, as Steve Rogers would say.
Did we skip over the plane scene, or is this after?
No, that's
Or is that
after.
after? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on this? On basically the warning from John Walker to stay the hell out of my way.
I knew it
Where
was
do you
bad
think we're
apples
going
as
with
soon as I saw
this?
him.
Yeah.
I think I think Battlestar honestly kind of leaves him at some point. I don't see that. I like I said, I just don't see him going down the same path that John Walker.
You think
is
Battlestar hits
probably
him with a little, like Padme, John, you're going down a path I can't follow.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But no, John Walker again made him even more hateable. If he wasn't hateable, the most hated person already. I'm excited to see kind of where this goes. Like it seems like I don't like I'm just interested to see like where like how John Walker like kind of ends up like at the end. Like you said, like you think he's gonna be like like he'll be in the like things following the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just interested to see like kind of how he ends up there, and when the point of like no return is, I guess.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I think it's going to be a long road ahead for both of these characters. I do think it's going to be one of those things that maybe a moment where I think it's going to be one of those things where maybe Hoskins stays with him as long as he possibly can. And then
Mhm.
maybe in the finale, that's when Hoskins is like, listen, man, I can't do that. Like you are so off the deep end. Maybe Hoskins, goes over to the side of Sam and Bucky basically. And then
Mhm.
that's where, because there has to be a moment where John Walker has to kind of pull himself back from the edge to still be able
Right.
to become US agent. Like he can't be a completely irredeemable villain. You know what I mean? Because then
Mhm.
the whole US agent thing won't work. He has to be he has to be able to pull himself back
Mhm.
from whatever edge he is slowly inching towards in this show. Um
Right.
and I think that maybe Battlestar, giving up on him might be a key to kind of bring him back, which I think will be interesting. Because ultimately, as much as you hate the character, I think Wyatt Russell's a great performer, and is doing a
Mhm.
great job with the character. So I'd really love to see him, continue in that role. So yeah, so Len, let's go ahead and talk about here the airplane scene in Slovakia. Do you want to go ahead and take the reins on this one? We can talk about the big name drop here.
Yeah. So it looks like the flag smashers are kind of trying to load up this plane and take off before these men get there to try and stop them. This one guy kind of like I think they name dropped him beforehand, but I think they're like, oh, like the the Power Brokers men are coming, which is like kind of like the the big name drop. And that guy who's trying to stop them, like kind of like takes down an electric pole and kind of basically like sacrifices himself almost to stop them from getting to the plane, and then the plane kind of takes off.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there we get the big, which is a cool little action beat too, right at the tail end of the episode. But the big thing we get there is the name drop of Power Broker. So, are you familiar with Power Broker at all?
I know that he supplies things for money. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he basically supplies powers for money.
Serum,
like,
right?
Yeah, Power Broker
as well.
Specifically serum, but in the comics it's more just anything. Like he's just more like he can give people artificial or
which is a dope name, by the way. Power Broker.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's very interesting here. So what I'm assuming is, he probably gave all these people, their abilities, and then they kind of, because basically the thing with Power Broker is he gives people powers and then basically, tells them, all right, but you got to take this drug and you can only get this drug from me, and this drug will keep your powers going, which is a lie. Right. It's like a sugar pill drug. Like it's not even real. It's just a thing to basically keep them on the hook to keep them working for him. And so basically what I think is now all these people, this Flag Smashers, kind of cut and run. And that's who was texting Carly, obviously, I think is what it's implied, obviously, is, he said, you took what belongs to me and I'm going to kill you for it. I think it literally meant yourself and everybody else, because you guys all belong to me because I gave you the powers, basically. So I'm going to be very interested to see where this goes. And also, by the way, we don't have like any casting or anything for like somebody that this might be.
I don't think like he appears in this show.
Really?
Maybe. Like
I mean,
maybe
you might be
if
right.
he does,
There's only 4 episodes left, so you might be right.
I think maybe he shows up like at the end, because again, this coming into the show, I was like, oh, Zemo is like the big bad guy.
Yeah. Now I'm doubting that so much. I think Zemo is either going to team up with the heroes or he's just going to be kind of a third party, kind of just messing stuff up.
Right. But yeah, Power Broker, I think, is something that's gonna maybe show up in like a future like project. I think they'll probably like maybe they'll reveal it at the end, but I don't think he'll show up till like maybe like the last episode.
Now, Power Broker would be an awesome villain for the Young Avengers. If this phase, which I think it will, if this phase ends with a Young Avengers movie, I think that would be a really cool villain to take on. That all of them have to take on Power Broker. I think that'd be awesome.
Is that just like his thing? Like that's all he does, or does he have like powers or something?
Well, he's got like a nefarious villain too, but like that's just like what his main shtick is.
Is he like a big? Sorry, again, another quick question. Is he like a big like? Is he like very very wealthy, like Tony Stark wealthy?
Kind of. He's more like some versions. He's like a guy, which maybe we'll get in this, and some he's like an amalgamation of people. Like some of them he's like a couple different people who basically like form Power Broker, like but then in some
I see what you mean.
In some he's like a robot, like in some he's like an AI guy. So it's kind of different. Like he's kind of had different versions over the years. What I would like to see in this is maybe some kind of a, maybe like a teched out, AI type villain, but he's got like a physical robot body, like
right.
But I think that would be awesome. Just that would be super like out there and weird. Or if it's just a guy, that's cool too. Whatever. Or girl, but you know what I mean. If it's just a person, like I'm fine with whatever.
Yeah, I think when I like Googled him, because when they name dropped that, I think somebody had, I think when I was watching like the Geek Buddies review, they like mentioned it, and I like Googled his name, and I think he had like a purple face, like the image I Googled.
Yeah, it's like a robot-y face with like his little chin, his little like chin and ear thing. He kind of looks like he looks like a kind of demented like Lobot from whatever it's
but
called.
I'm assuming that him and John Walker cross paths at some point, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I had
happens in the
assumed.
show.
But yeah. And now, interesting thing is that we did have a version of Power Broker already in the MCU in season 2 of Jessica Jones. Now we don't know if that was, the Power Broker, like if it was him or if it was just somebody who worked in a similar thing or worked for him or something.
Yeah.
But it was the person who basically gave Jessica her powers. And that, so maybe they could bring that actor back for the show. That'd be one way to kind of link it back to the Netflix shows, but who knows? But let's talk about
that's loose cannon, though, right?
Yeah, it's like yeah. But let's talk about. But if they could bring in TV Jarvis into Avengers Endgame, I'm sure they could move a TV character from a TV show to another TV show. So let's. Where am I here? Oh yeah, let's talk about the little end tag of this episode, which is back with Sam and Bucky walking down the streets. I believe they'd probably just still be in Baltimore.
Yeah, I think they're still like where they were.
Yeah. Basically, they realize that, well, he's talking about Hydra, that's probably who is creating all this. So who's the ultimate authority on info on Hydra right now? Because everybody else is dead. Helmet Zemo himself. So that's basically where we end this episode, is Bucky saying, there's only one thing that we can do. We got to go talk to Zemo to find out what he knows, what could still be going on, this whole thing. And then we get the great operatic Mozart Requiem, crazy music. And then we get, the slow, different shots closer and closer to Zemo until finally, bang, the episode ends. We get our first look. He lifts his head up, and then roll credits. What were your thoughts on this kind of intro / way to reintroduce Zemo into all of this? What were your thoughts on that?
So are we thinking he got blipped, then blipped back in jail, or he didn't get blipped?
I don't know. I'm thinking he didn't get blipped.
Yeah, and he's just still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, this is kind of, when he said we have to go see Zemo, I was like, oh, this is not where I thought it was going. Like, again, I assumed Zemo was like the big villain of this show. And he's definitely obviously he's still a villain, but he's definitely seems like he's gonna be maybe teaming up with the two of them, or maybe like teaming up and then kind of just like backstabbing them at the end or something like that. But I'm more excited now because I didn't see this coming. I actually honestly, I forgot where Zemo was. I forgot he was still in jail.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I'm like, when's he gonna show up? But it's like, well, how is he gonna show up if he's still in jail? So I guess this makes more sense.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I love the way that it was handled. I'm honestly thrilled with it. I loved the music cue, that whole introduction thing. And I'm just excited to see where this goes. Like you said, it feels like they're going to have to do a reluctant team up with him. That's what it feels like, but we could see it go, one of many ways. I'm just very excited, very looking forward to next week. Definitely.
Yeah, same.
So I guess that would do it for our kind of recap and review of episode 2 of Falcon and Winter Soldier, Star-Spangled Man. Was there anything else that we didn't mention that you could think of?
No, I don't think so. We mentioned all the name drops and everything. But like you said, I'm excited to see what happens in the next episode.
Oh yeah.
And again, we know it's like 2 episodes shorter than WandaVision, so they're gonna have to not like speed up necessarily, but we're gonna probably get to places a little bit quicker. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Same, definitely. I'm very excited to see where all this kind of builds to and what it's leading up to. But yeah, let us know what you think. Also, we'll plug it. Check out Falcon Winter Soldier, streaming now on Disney Plus. If you made it this far in the video and aren't watching it, or don't know that that's a show that's on Disney Plus, props to you for watching this long video. But yeah, check out the show. That way you can watch all these recap and reviews that we do every single week. And we will be back next Saturday to recap episode 3 of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And again, tune in to this Tuesday's Planet Film Live, where we will be breaking down the first 3 episodes of the new superhero show Invincible on Amazon Prime. So yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode. As always, check out our merch in the description. We got some awesome items on sale for you guys. We've got mugs and stuff. You can check that out in the description. But until then, I am Sean Monk, one of your hosts at Paste Eating Yak on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm TJ Cornwall, at TJ_Cornwall on Twitter and Instagram. Check out our latest reaction to the Suicide Squad trailer reaction on YouTube. Then catch us on Tuesday for Planet Film Live for, like Sean said, our recap and review of, or mini review of Invincible episodes 1 through 3. And we'll see you later.
Boom.